Mario Kart is in my hand.
The future is here.
It truly is.
So yeah, Mario Kart on a console is cool and all, but what if I could play it anywhere besides this dungeon?
Like at a funeral? No. Dude, that's a terrible idea.
Oh. Well, I guess I'm going to apologize to your uncle's family. So today, I'm covering 3 Mario Karts. Mario Kart Super Circuit and the other 2 that have infinitely blander names but are better games, DS and 7. And I will not be talking about Mario Kart 8 because technically it is also a console game, so it's basically 50-50. And also I have 2 videos on it with a 3rd incoming, so I really have nothing to say that I haven't already said that I can say here, so, you know. And you could say I'm leaving on Mario Kart Tour. Like, why would you? You'd be making a fool out of yourself. So without further ado, let's determine which of the 3 games is the best. So, first, Mario Kart Super Circuit, the second and last game to use this 3D but not really 3D game style, which mostly only exists because of a little thing I like to call technical limitations. Spoiler, Super Circuit is the second worst in the series.
In your opinion?
No, objectively.
Come on, you're being too harsh on it.
And you're being too nice on it. I've barely even begun talking about it.
Whether you like it or not, I'll continue to be a Super Circuit apologist.
And whether you like it or not, I'm not going to straight up loathe it, but I'm not going to act like it's a gift from Christ or something.
So be it.
So be it.
The game was developed by Intelligent Systems, who were known for WarioWare and Paper Mario, and they made this because, I don't know, Nintendo just didn't feel like it. It originally had the title of Mario Kart Advance, being along the lines of other games in the series, but it only really got that title in Japan, and everywhere else, it got Super Circuit. Graphically, it's actually kind of different feeling, I don't know. Like, this is really when Nintendo got Mario's modern art style nailed down, so it looks much more true to how Mario looks now compared to Super Mario Kart. In fact, this game shares something in common with Mario Kart 64, including the character sprites, which look like condensed versions of Mario Kart 64 sprites, and the similarities don't end there, because it also has the same character roster, items, and voice lines as 64, so it kind of feels like Super Mario Kart largely, but with some dashes of 64 here and there. Now, this game controls okay. It's not bad, it's alright, but slipperiness can be a big problem at times. Like, I can't count how many times I haven't been able to turn fast enough before I just bump into walls. Now, besides the fact that there's 20 new tracks, and all 20 from Super Mario Kart come back after you completed all 5 cups, and then doing them all again to get 100 coins total. But why would you do that? Kind of a weird way to unlock it. Regardless, it's a cool bonus, and you know, that kind of makes just 2 games in one, which I will say is very neat. And speaking of the new tracks, there are a great handful of really creative ideas here. Now, a lot of the best tracks from Super Circuit would be made much better in future Mario Karts, but they're still good here. Let me just rattle off a few of the tracks that really stand out to me. Peach Circuit is the first track, and it's a pretty good start, and I like the fact that it's outside the castle. Not much more to say about it, I just like it as a beginner track. Shy Guy Beach is pretty cool, the theme is charming for Game Boy Advance. Only real times it's too frustrating is when I overturn and fall into the water, and yeah, that's just some of the slipperiness making it harder, but it's still a pretty good track nonetheless. Riverside Park, I like how this one looks. It's also next to the water, but minus the caveat of falling into water unless you're really trying to drown as Donkey Kong. Also, the jungle environment, I think it's not that bad for the Game Boy Advance. Boo Lake, it would be way better without the slipperiness, and honestly, I don't really see how this is a lake. Like, the Booster Course Pass would actually make it a lake, so I don't know how this counts as a lake, but this version is alright, and I feel like the bullcrap of falling off is part of the reason why I like it. And the general feeling of it, I do like, and there is a little strategy where you can pick which bridge you want to go on, whether it be the less risky option or the shortcut, which might be harder to actually successfully cross. Cheese Land. It's a land made out of cheese. What more is there to say? One thing I like about this version of the track specifically is that they kind of make it like the moon because of the joke that some people make that the moon is made out of cheese, and that's pretty noticeably absent from the 8 remake, and I'm just saying the concept of a cheese land being the moon. It's just a little less odd and random of an idea when it's quite literally the moon. Not to say 8's version is bad, no, far from it, but the idea they present here is just stronger in my opinion. Sky Gardens, this is a rare instance where the remake is actually worse than the original. I like the whole theme of it, you know? It's just so cool to be driving across some clouds in the sky. It's a great course. Sunset Wilds, in a future video I'll get into why this version is far better than the Booster Course Pass version, but I really love this track, not just because of the track itself, because each lap the sun goes down more and more, and literally shows a sunset, which really makes this track stand out from the others very easily. And yeah, this is definitely the second best in the game in my opinion. But how about you take a guess what passed it? Let me just give you a hint. Never mind, I can't think of a hint. Rainbow Road, everybody. On the surface level, it's just Rainbow Road again, but obviously with some new kind of twist. The main thing being, instead of walls, there are a place of ramps that allow you to jump across. And if you're really fast, you can beat this in like 30 seconds. That's not even a joke. Speedrunners are insane. But yeah, it's a good, slightly challenging track, as Rainbow Road is meant to be. And yeah, in every cup, normally at the end, except for Star Cup, there's the Bowser Castle stage. And I can't really tell the difference between all four of these, if I'm being honest. But I don't hate them. I honestly think they're alright. They can be annoying, especially in the later ones, because of the reduced ability to judge what's in the distance in this type of Mario Kart gameplay, leading to a lot of falling in lava, which is unfortunate. There was also multiplayer if you had the Game Boy Advance link cable. It allowed up to 4 players in the same room, along with a battle mode, which I haven't played because, you know, what kind of people would I convince to play Mario Kart Super Circuit?
Well, that's right. I haven't gotten very far. Want to play Mario Kart Super Circuit?
For the last time, Drew. No.
Want to play Mario Kart Super Circuit?
I'm too busy trying to not pay tax. Want to play Mario Kart Super Circuit?
Get the out of my house!
So yeah, that was the first handled Mario Kart game. It's sort of janky at times, also doesn't really build upon 64 all that much. And it's kind of the least inventive game in the series, but despite all that, it's still a good game. And if there's nothing else it does, it definitely won up Super Mario Kart in every way. But it's immediately disqualified from being the best handled Mario Kart. I'm truly sorry.
Huh. You didn't go as hard on Super Circuit as I thought you would.
Yeah, it isn't a bad game. It's just not as good as the others.
So now we get to an actually truly good Mario Kart game, Mario Kart DS, the second Mario Kart game on a handheld, and the first one that was for real this time in 3D. It's also the first Mario Kart in the series to use a current logo. I mean, I'm not mad they did this, I'm honestly barely fazed by it, but there had to have been someone that was riding the street in 2005. This game was also the first game in the series, and also the first Nintendo game as a whole to use online play, which is insane. It may not be all that mind-blowing today, because of all the games that either have an online mode or are completely online today that are available. But back then, being able to play a game like Mario Kart with people across the world was a revolutionary concept and incredibly mind-blowing.
Which me, as a negative 3-year-old, could confirm.
First of all, the character roster is at first the same as 64 again, but we have unlockable characters, Waluigi and Daisy, and newcomers Dry Bones, alright cool, and Rob. It's a confusing addition, but I'm not mad that he's in this game. I'm just pretty interested on how he was even picked into Mario Kart. Besides, he's not a bad character, he's Rob for God's sakes. This guy was an accessory you needed to play Gyromite.
I think I'm the first to acknowledge the existence of Gyromite in like 10 years.
2 new items, the Bullet Bill, which seems so much like a staple these days, that it seems strange that it took until the 5th game in the series to exist. And the Blooper, which is also a mainstay, but a mainstay I couldn't give less of a crap about, because I play single player a lot, and in every game that has it, it really only affects you, because the other players are computers, so I don't even know if it hinders them in any way, so it's kind of useless to have. Graphically, I mean, it doesn't hold up that well, as it's very pixelated, but that's kind of standard for 3DS games, and I don't mean 3DS games, I mean 30DS games. It's confusing sounding when the successor is called the 3DS, but you know what I mean. And at the same time, it isn't that bad. Like, if they already nailed down the Mario art style in Super Circuit, then they really had it unlocked now, making these polygonal models look not bad, and pretty up to par with how the characters look today. But, you know, with just more technical limitations. In terms of the controls, I can't really speak on how they are with the D-pad, because I use the 3DS to play this game, which has the added benefit of a circle pad, but I've used a D-pad some, and it controls actually pretty well. It's sharp and fast, and that's just what a Mario Kart needs. It's great. And the drifting is kind of hard to get used to when you're more used to the mechanics of, let's say, 7 or 8, but the way it works here is basically the same as Double Dash, where you press the stick or D-pad, in this case right and left, instead of just simply pressing the R button and holding a drift. It's a method that makes drifting more precise and even a little more challenging to pull off at times, and I like it. It's not as fluid as later entries, but it's actually a little more engaging this way. Though, the reason this method of drifting was killed off was because of, snaking. Yes, this was a method of taking advantage of how the drifting worked, continuously drifting left and right, and it's kind of unfair in some circumstances. Especially back in the day, during some online matches, and maybe Nintendo saw it happening and decided to simplify it in Wii. But in my opinion, the way they did it in 7, Wii, and 8 is a little bit more fluid. Oh, also there's a map on the bottom screen. Yeah, instead of it being around the left side of the screen, because of the 2 screens that come with the DS, you have a bottom view. It's a good use of the DS's features, I really like this. It also returns in 7, and it's just as good as it was here. Now, let's get to the tracks, shall we?
Not yet.
Okay.
Alright, I'm ready.
Okay.
This game has the normal 4-cup, but it's the first game to have retro courses that isn't just the entirety of Super Mario Kart. Now, first of all, the base tracks. First, before I talk about some of my favorites, this is a phenomenal track selection. Seriously, the ones I'm about to mention are like most of the game. Figure 8 Circuit, which as the name implies, is a figure 8 circuit. It's a good starting track. I mean, mostly every single one have a select few in the circuit tracks are not anything that special. They're just begin the game or vice versa. And it's basically the same here. Cheap Cheap Beach. It's a beach with cheap cheaps. It's a cool beach stage. I don't know what else to say. The Mario Kart 8 version is more extended and just better, but it's still a good track here. Luigi's Mansion. This one is just so good. From the interior of the mansion, feeling like a haunted mansion out of... I don't know. I think it's a game starring Luigi. I can't think of the name right now. I wonder what it's called. To the swampy area outside of it with walking trees. Well, I guess when my science teacher said trees are alive, she was right. And yeah, good track. Delfino Square is a track taking place in the same area as Mario Sunshine. And yeah, it's a cool track to race on. You're driving through Delfino Plaza, kind of, but it's definitely an area in it. And driving through a city here is honestly 100 times better than some of the tour tracks in the Booster Course Pass. And yeah, I'm going off script for a little bit. This track is just so good. I like it. I'm actually genuinely smiling while talking about it. I love that one. Waluigi Pinball. I don't really have anything new to say about this track that I didn't in the Booster Course Pass video, so I'm just gonna copy and paste what I said there. But yeah, this one is a classic. It's a pinball course endorsed by Waluigi. What more could you possibly want? It's perfection, and its gameplay is very intriguing. That's mostly because of the pinball theme. Yes, this is in fact worth the hype. Yeah, it's a good track. I have nothing new to say here. It is just good. DK Pads is fun, but it sits in the shadow of a similar track in Wii. But regardless, it's racing in the snowy environment down snowy hills. And yeah, it's basically a straight race from start to finish, unlike what would come in DK Summit and Wii. And it feels like the track that influenced DK Summit, but on its own, it's so good. Tick-Tock Clock. It's based off the level in Mario 64. It actually takes place in the level. Holy crap, that's such a great idea. And in execution, it's even better. I honestly just appreciate that this exists. And another bit of Mario fanfare in a track is Airship Fortress, which is based off the airships of Mario 3, which is also so cool. But because this is 3D and Mario 3 was in 2D, it feels like an original idea at the same time. Wario Stadium. It's a stadium endorsed by Wario. One thing I got wrong in my Mario Kart 8 video was that it was a remake of N64 Wario Stadium, and this track is not that. It's more or less the same idea, but not exactly a one-to-one remake. But really, it's got the same exact vibe as that old one, but now it's got more ramps and boosts, which makes it a little faster than its Mario Kart 64 counterpart. And yeah, it's a good track. Only lame thing though is that they reused the Waluigi pinball theme instead of making a new song for this.
Nintendo, you can't just reuse a song made for Waluigi for Wario. That just doesn't make sense. That's unfair.
Rainbow Road. It's Rainbow Road. What do you want me to say here? It's good, but I really don't think there's a lot unique to it, unlike other entries. It's still good, like every Rainbow Road is, but there's nothing really to say about it that I couldn't say about others. But even then, I'd have more to say about others, so I'm still including it in the ones that I like, but it's not like it's the second coming of Christ or something. Waluigi Pinball is. So yeah, that's some of my favorite tracks in the game. So many of the tracks are just so good. Like, they just have a treasure trove of ideas for this game. This game was the first real Mario Kart game to have retro courses, because Super Mario Kart tracks and Super Circuit were just a bonus for completing the game, but these are already here off the bat. And the games these tracks come from are from Super, 64, Super Circuit, and Double Dash. This was before 8, so Nintendo didn't really focus on making these tracks feel new, especially Super and Super Circuit tracks. These look very similar to how they did before. And 64 and Double Dash tracks are just really cool to see on a handheld, especially Double Dash, because that game is the only game that hasn't been seen on any kind of handheld. In this case, I'm counting 64 being on Switch, by the way, so it's still cool to see through this day. And it's still impressive they're even able to port these tracks only 2 years after Double Dash released. Now for the online.
Oh boy, I can't wait to play. My weekend plans are ruined.
But yeah, the online seemed pretty cool. It was the first Nintendo game to do it, but they did remove some tracks from the game, because get this, they wanted to get the game running smoothly online. Nintendo cared about his... Nintendo wanted their online to run good?
Nintendo caring about how their online games played is wild.
They stopped caring so fast after that.
Yeah, it's so genuinely weird, because they never care about it anymore. I am just astounded by that.
Now, battle mode. Balloon battle, yeah, it's a mainstay. And this time you can blow into the microphone to bring back balloons. Why did Nintendo ever think this was a good idea in any of their games to blow into the microphone? I just feel like I'll get spit on them every time I do it. It's just odd. It's just odd Nintendo thought this would be a good idea at any point in time. Shine runners, which isn't the same as a shine thief, because you have to collect more shines than your opponents in this one. Basically coin runners, but with shines. I don't have that much experience with the battle mode in this game either, but I will say this. One of the stages is this. A literal DS. Thank you, Nintendo. This is really cool. And the final thing, which is actually single-player content, the mission mode. This has to be one of the greatest ideas Mario Kart has ever had. It actually gives you something to do in Mario Kart by yourself besides just do the cups. It's a checklist of missions, and there are also boss fights, which has also been insane to me because they're just so freaking cool to see in Mario Kart. And it's really cool, and I am just perplexed why they haven't brought it back since DS. This should really be in the next one, but I really don't think they'll consider it. I don't know, it's not likely. But it's just such a good single-player offering, because it's actually a dedicated single-player mode, which Mario Kart has never had before or since. So yeah, that was Mario Kart DS. It is so good, and I'm kind of mad that for a while I didn't give this game much of a chance, because it actually offers a lot of great courses, well-rounded controls, and a full single-player mode. So yeah, this game has a chance of being the best handheld Mario Kart. Now, finally, Mario Kart 7. It released on the 3DS, and it was mainly developed by Nintendo, but because some people at Nintendo were working on other games, they brought in Retro Studios, the developers of the new Donkey Kong Country games and Metroid Prime, and they were tasked to work on the Retro course.
Though it was only because their name wasn't.
No, they also co-developed a Donkey Kong course in the game.
But it was mostly because of their name, right?
Yeah, actually, that's probably true.
This game came out at a time where the 3DS really needed something that could really save it. And it hadn't done so well because of its price point and not that compelling support yet. But Mario Kart 7 and Super Mario 3D Land changed that, and made people have an actual reason to give a crap about owning a 3DS for the first time. Now this game actually adds a few features that weren't there before that would end up becoming mainstays, the most prominent being the introduction of the hang glider and underwater sections. They both add a lot of possibilities for track design, allowing you to fly at certain sections and stop people from dying in water, and actually letting people drive through it. And it might not seem like they add a lot on the surface, but in reality, they add a lot to courses. Especially those that have either you jumping off a ramp or courses with water in them. Another thing that was added was kart customization. In previous Mario Karts, you just pick a kart that's already pre-made and built for you. While from here on out, you manually pick every kart piece, and a lot of them are unlocked at random. And it can feel sort of tedious to have to select each part of your kart. It gives some more strategy because a good customization could be beneficial in your stats, but it feels less intuitive than how it was before. Like, if you don't like your kart customization, as opposed to an older Mario Kart, a player who doesn't know much about stats and that kind of stuff, like someone who's more a casual player, might not really know what will work and what these stats really even are. That doesn't mean I hate making a kart. Because of 8, I've pretty much gotten used to it, and if you have the same customization, you can just press A 3 times and you're good. Because it leaves your current selection alone, which is good, because if they didn't do that, god, that'd be infuriating. In terms of the character roster, we have our normal suspects, Italians, Princess, Dinosaur, Turtle, Ape, Toad, Princess 2, Electric Boogaloo, Evil Italian, Princess 3, Person, and Small Turtle. But there's one very strange omission here. It's the other Evil Italian. Yeah, Waluigi is missing, but get this. Waluigi Pinball is in the game.
I don't understand.
Yeah, that's like killing someone, but proudly displaying their corpse.
I think my uncle did that once.
What?
And we have newcomers. Queen Bee from Galaxy? Wiggler? Lakitu? Shy Guy is a proper character? And Metal Mario.
And I thought adding Rob was a little weird. That's unhinged.
So, they got pretty creative with this roster. For better or for worse. Adding Queen Bee from Galaxy of all things is okay. Like if anything, I'm just confused by it. And Wiggler, it's not even the most popular Mario enemy. But I guess it's one of the only ones that could realistically drive a kart. Like a Goomba or a Piranha Plant, for example. How would they do that?
They could, they could, no. I got nothing.
Now, how this game plays is the modern style of drifting that debuted in Wii, but feels the most aligned with 8. But it was just kind of improved overall in 8. Like, there's something sort of off in 7. Like, it very much feels it was tweaked in 8. but that offness, I'd say, comes from switching from 8 to 7, because in general, it still plays well. Now, in terms of items, it feels actually balanced, especially because this game was after Wii, and God, that game was a nightmare with its added items. So the bullcrap items that came from that game, screw them, they're gone, they're dead. And new items are also introduced. The Fire Flower, which if you know anything about Mario, you should know what it does. The Tanuki Leaf, which happened at the height of this item being pushed into Mario again with 3D Land and New Super Mario Bros. 2. And it's okay, it lets you hit other people next to you, but if there's no one near you, this item is kind of pointless, and generally it's not that useful. And then the Lucky 7, which gives you multiple items at once. It can be kind of useful with its sheer power of all that you're given, but also it's just kind of a lame idea because it's just so uninspired. That goes for the Crazy 8 as well. It's just giving you all these items at once, and that's really it. And also the coins return, which work how they used to in the 2D game. You get faster as you collect more coins. Graphically, this game looks the best that any of these games have so far. It's not that compromised. It looks a little bit like Wii. And it's definitely good for the 3DS. And there's also a first-person view!
This is revolutionary!
No, before I get to my favorite tracks, let me just say one thing. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, let's go. Daisy Hills is a track going through a town in the hills that also has flying section. I like this one, especially because of the flying section kind of introducing you into the paraglider a little bit. Not to a big extent, but it's a good show off for it nonetheless. Shy Guy Bazaar. This is in a desert at night, inside of an Egyptian-like town. Okay, if it's not Egyptian and I'm just an idiot, feel free to let me know. But yeah, it's really cool, especially because of its scenery with it being at night. And normally desert courses kind of suck, but since there's just more overall going on here, it's actually good. Woohoo Loop. It takes place on Woohoo Island from Wii Sports Resort. Oh my God, I love this one so much. First of all, I'm already a big fan of Wii Sports Resort. That game is a blessing from God. And getting to drive through it is just so cool. The fan service here is amazing. And it's not even the last Woohoo Island course. And it's not even the full Woohoo Island. But I just love to see this crap. It's really cool. And Mario Circuit is cool, I guess, but what a lukewarm track compared to that one. Holy crap. But yeah, I still think it's good. It has you driving next to and inside Peach's castle. If it looked like this, which I can confirm as a certified Super Mario 64 player, it didn't. It's not groundbreaking by any means, but I still kind of like it. And now, here's another good one. Music Park. Yes! Holy crap, yes! This one is so cool. You drive across pianos, avoid getting hit by these music note enemies or piranha plants, while also having pretty good music. Neo Bowser City is a track endorsed by Bowser, and it's a futuristic looking track. It feels almost F-Zero-esque at some points, and I mean some points, because it's mostly just not that. But yeah, I like its tunnels and theming. And then the other Woohoo Island track, Maka Woohoo. It takes place at another side of the island that's more off-road than in the town. And I like this too, and the fan service is still nice to see. Like, they got the castle and the sort of like duel area. This is just cool. DK Jungle, the course developed by Retro Studios, because they're the Donkey Kong people. They know things about this ape, and it's a jungle. Shocking, I know. It's not like it's the name of the course or anything. And it's also got a temple with a banana. Is that some kind of religious thing? Do Donkey Kong characters abide by the religious laws of a banana? But it's got a lot of cool paths, and it's a good old fun track in a Donkey Kong jungle. Rainbow Road. Oh my God, this one is just amazing. I don't have much to say about this one that I didn't say in my Booster Course Fast video for Wave 1 through 3. I still think it's an amazing Rainbow Road track, involving drifting on Saturn and racing on the moon. It is very creative, and I just like it a lot. This is my favorite Rainbow Road, hands down. So yeah, those are tracks I consider good in this game, but let me just say, the ones I didn't mention are so forgettable. This is my personal opinion. If you do not agree with me, then you're entitled to that opinion. Whatever, you can like whatever you want. Do not line outside my door with pitchforks, please, not again. Cheap Cheap Lagoon, Mario Shipyard, that one I totally forgot about until making this video. Rosalina Ice World, kinda mediocre Bowser's Castle, and yeah, Toad Circuit, that one's just okay. Even some of the ones I kinda like are even forgettable too. But I can admit there are also heavy hitters, obviously. But I don't really think they're at the same height as DS. Some of them are, but others kinda aren't. And in terms of retro tracks, again, why bring back Waluigi Pinball and not Waluigi? But other than that, fan favorites from every Mario Kart before gets representation. You know, you got your Coconut Malls, your Mushroom Gorges, your Luigi's Mansions, and others, but with new additions of underwater areas being actually enterable and flying sections. And this is the first Mario Kart that really tried to start to make retro courses feel new. And yeah, this is one of the best retro selections in the series. The online is basically the same as it was in Wii, like pretty much the basic stuff is kept the same here. And for some reason, the servers are still up. They killed Wii servers in a shorter time than they have 7. Because 7 still works nearly 12 years later, while Wii only got 7 years of official support. That is insane. And when it comes to how many people are playing, 7's kind of dead now. People don't really seem to care anymore, and I wouldn't be surprised if we only got a couple more years or less of this support. But they did update the game like a year ago to avoid hacking it. That's so weird, what the heck? And then there's the battle mode. Balloon Battle and Coin Runners are our modes, and that's fine, I guess. It's got alright maps, not many of them are worth mentioning though, and I don't really play this battle mode very often, I just don't really care. So the overall thesis of this game is that it's a really good Mario Kart game that brings many mainstays to the series, but those mainstays will be far improved in 8. And really, this feels like the foundation for 8, and basically 8 is a far better 7. And it's kind of the most non-Super Circuit forgettable Mario Kart despite all it's done for the series, but then again, it's done a lot for the series, and it's still a must-buy 3DS game.
So, it's time to determine the best handheld Mario Kart.
Can't wait for Super Circuit to be last.
Man, you already knew, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay, number 3. Super Circuit. I am so sorry.
I don't accept your apology.
Why do you even like it so much?
I don't know, to be honest.
Cool, okay. So between 7 and DS, I have determined that DS is the better game. So if that's what you wanted to know, click off the video. I've already done it. Go away.
So yeah, I think DS is the best. It's just one of the most well-rounded Mario Karts, and its mechanics, it has some of the best tracks in the series. Waluigi Pinball, Mission Mode, it's not better than 8, or in my personal opinion, not Wii either, even despite its flaws, but 3rd place overall in my opinion, ain't bad at all.
Okay, I'm back from apologizing to your uncle's family. Turns out your aunt filed a restraining order against me.
Your fault for playing Mario Kart at a funeral.
Come on, man. It was an intense game. I was about to be passed by Yoshi.
If my uncle wasn't a murderer, I would be more mad.
Okay, on that note, I think I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah, and on that note, I think I'm just gonna end the episode.